Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're starting something a bit special. A new series focused entirely on getting you ready for the CSWIP 3.1 Welding Inspector Exam.
Yeah, it's a big one. CSWIP 3.1, it's that global benchmark for visual welding inspectors.
Exactly. So we thought, let's do a deep dive series to help you sharpen up, tackle those common hurdles.
And it's not just about the exam, is it? This stuff, the foundational knowledge, it's absolutely vital out there in the field, making the right calls, ensuring safety.
That's the core of it. So what we're going to do is work through some multi-choice questions, kind of like you'd see in the exam.
But we won't just give answers. We'll dig into the why.
Right. We'll unpack it. So whether you're deep in study mode or just, curious about welding inspection, stick around. We've got some good stuff for you. Okay, let's jump in.
Let's do it.
First up, let's talk about the role itself, the welding inspector. Responsibilities can get a bit fuzzy sometimes. So here's the question. Welding inspectors, what's their primary function or responsibility from these options?
Right.
Think about A, normally supervise welders. B, are normally requested to write welding procedures. C, are sometimes requested to qualify welders. Or D, all of the above.
Okay, so the correct one here is C. Inspectors are sometimes requested to qualify welders.
Right. Qualify welders.
Yeah, and it's important to understand why the others aren't quite right. Supervising welders, like option A, that's typically a foreman's job, or maybe a supervisor, they manage the team, the workflow.
Got it. Directing the work.
Exactly. And option B, writing welding procedures. That's really an engineering function. You're talking welding engineers, maybe metallurgists. They have the deep technical background to develop the WPS.
So the inspector isn't usually writing the rule book, so to speak.
Precisely. The inspector's role is fundamentally about verification, checking against the standards, against the procedures, and qualifying welders witnessing their test, verifying their skill against a standard that fits perfectly into that verification role. It's a task they might be asked to do.
That makes sense. It defines those boundaries clearly. Inspector verifies, engineer designs, supervisor directs.
You've got it. And sticking to those boundaries is key for maintaining independence and integrity. On site, things can get busy, pressure's on.
Sure, I can imagine.
But the inspector needs to hold that line. Their authority comes from the standard, not the production schedule. It's about clear communication, knowing your role.
Okay, good distinction. So, moving on from roles, let's get practical. Visual inspection. You're looking closely at a weld. Which defect from this list is the one most likely to slip past your eye?
Ah, the tricky ones.
Yeah, so is it A, linear misalignment, B, cap undercut, C, clustered porosity, or D, cold lap?
Okay, the answer we're looking for here is D, cold lap.
Cold lap, why is that one so easy to miss?
Well, cold lap is basically where the weld metal hasn't properly fused with the base metal or the previous run. It just sort of rolls over the edge without bonding.
Like it's just sitting on top.
Pretty much. And visually, it can be incredibly subtle, maybe just a slight ripple or a change in reflectivity that looks like a shadow. There's no obvious gap, no big groove like an undercut.
Right. Undercut's pretty clear, like a little ditch.
Exactly. And linear misalignment, option A, that's usually a visible step between the plates. Clustered porosity, C, you'd see a group of small holes or pits. But cold lap, it doesn't shout at you. You need good lighting, maybe magnification, and you really need to know what you're looking for. It's sneaky.
It really highlights how vital thoroughness is and good conditions. You can easily glance over it.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those defects where NDT often picks it up if visual misses it, which happens.
Okay, that brings us perfectly to the next point, viewing conditions. You mentioned good lighting. ISO 17637 deals with visual inspection requirements. What does it say about the minimum light needed?
Ah, the standard. Yes.
So the options are A, minimum 350 lux, B, minimum 500 lux, C, minimum 600 lux at not less than 30 degrees.
Or D, doesn't specify any viewing conditions. Right, the standard does specify. The correct answer is A. The minimum requirement is 350 lux.
350 lux, okay.
An emphasis on minimum. 350 lux isn't super bright. Think maybe a bit less than a well-lit office. Often you'll want, or even need, more than that.
Especially for things like that cold lap we just talked about.
Exactly. For subtle flaws, or if you're working in awkward spots, shadows. More light is always better. It directly impacts your ability to actually see the defects. If it's too dark, the fine details just disappear.
So knowing that minimum is about compliance, but also just Effectiveness, making sure you can see what you need to see.
Absolutely. It's a practical baseline to ensure the inspection isn't compromised just because someone forgot a proper lamp. You need that clarity.
It really shows how knowing the specific standard translates directly to better inspection quality. It's not just theory.
Not at all. It's fundamental.
Okay, let's shift gears now. From looking at the weld to how it's prepared before welding. Different thicknesses need different approaches. So for a 6 mm thick plate, which butt weld prep is most likely?
Right. Prep is crucial.
Your options: A, double V butt, asymmetrical, double V butt C,
Right.
single U butt,
Right.
or D, single V butt.
Okay, for 6 mm thick plate, the most common and generally most suitable is D, single V butt.
Single V. Why is that?
Well, it's mostly about efficiency and access for that thickness. 6 mm isn't super thick. A single V gives the welder good enough access to get full penetration from one side.
Makes sense.
And it's simpler to prepare, just a bevel on each edge. Less prep time, less weld metal needed to fill it compared to, say, a double V or U prep.
So those other ones, the double V or U preps, they're more for thicker stuff.
Generally, yes. For much thicker plates, a double V lets you weld from both sides, which helps control distortion and can sometimes reduce the total volume of weld metal. U-preps can also reduce weld volume in thick sections. But for 6 mm, a single V is usually perfectly adequate, effective, and economical.
So it's about matching the prep complexity to the job. Simple and effective for thinner material like 6 mm.
That's the idea. No need to overcomplicate it if a single V does the job well.
Got it. Okay, final question for this deep dive. Let's zoom in on a specific defect. Crater pipe. What exactly is it?
Crater pipe. Very common one.
Options are: A is another term for concave root. B is another term given for a burn through. C is a type of gas pore found in the weld crater. Or D is a shrinkage defect found in the weld crater.
The correct definition here is D. It's a shrinkage defect found in the weld crater.
Shrinkage defect. Okay, can you unpack that a bit?
Sure. So when you finish a weld run, you leave behind a little pool of molten metal, the crater. As that metal cools and solidifies, it shrinks, it contracts.
Right, things get smaller when they cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the welder doesn't properly fill that crater before stopping or pulls away too quickly, that shrinkage can cause the surface to pull inwards, forming a little hole or depression right at the end of the weld. That's your crater pipe. It's literally caused by the metal shrinking.
So it's different from the other options then.
Oh, definitely. It's not concave root, which is about the weld profile on the backside. It's not burn through, which is a hole right through the joint. And it's not a gas pore, although it's a hole. Gas pores come from trapped gas bubbling out during solidification. Crater pipe is purely about that physical contraction, that shrinkage.
That's a great distinction. Understanding the cause shrinkage versus gas versus profile is key. It's not just identifying a hole, it's knowing why the hole is there.
Precisely. That understanding helps determine the cause and prevent it next time. It's about the metallurgy, the physics of the process.
Fantastic. Okay, and that wraps up our questions for this session. We've covered quite a bit: inspector roles, tricky defects like cold lap, the importance of lighting standards, weld preps, and now crater pipe.
Yeah, it's been a good run through. And hopefully breaking down these questions shows that it's not just about getting the answer right for an exam, it's about really understanding the principles behind it.
Absolutely. That deeper understanding is what makes you effective, what builds confidence. We really hope this has sparked some insights for you, maybe clarified a few things.
That's the goal, empowering you with that knowledge.
So here's something to think about. How does knowing the subtle difference between, say, cold lap and simple surface irregularity, how does that knowledge impact your assessment of a critical weld's fitness for service, maybe its long-term safety?
Good question to ponder.
Keep asking those kinds of questions. Keep digging deeper. Keep learning. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Yeah, till next time.